The contract no one read. Ethan Cole had never been this desperate in his life. He sat in the cold metal chair, sweating. His ship was damaged. He had no food, no fuel, and barely any oxygen left. His emergency beacon had been ignored for days, until a sleek alien shuttle found him drifting near the border of the Valari system. They brought him to the planet, fed him, gave him water, saved his life. But there was a condition. "You must sign this," said a tall alien man with green-blue skin. His voice was flat, robotic, but the translator helped Ethan understand. "What is it?" Ethan asked, tired, holding the strange glowing tablet. "A bonding contract," the man replied. "A simple union. You will help one of our women. She cannot reproduce on her own. In return, you will be cared for." Ethan looked around the clean, shining room. He had no choice. Go back to his ruined ship and die, or stay here and help? He shrugged. "Fine, I'll help. I'll sign." He tapped the screen. His name glowed on the surface. The alien nodded and took the tablet. "Her name is Valari," the man said. "She has been prepared." That word, prepared, felt strange to Ethan, but he was too weak and too thankful to ask questions. Valari stood inside a softly lit chamber. Her skin shimmered like moonlight, and her long silver hair moved slightly, as if carried by wind that wasn't there. When Ethan entered, she didn't speak at first. She looked nervous. He gave a small wave. Hi, I guess I'm your partner now?" Valari's glowing eyes met his. She nodded slowly. "You have signed. That means you accept the right." "The right?" She stepped closer. "The reproduction right. We must follow it. Precisely." Ethan blinked. "Wait. This is about reproduction? Like real reproduction? I thought it was a symbolic agreement." Valari's cheeks flushed. Her voice became quiet. "It is not symbolic. It is sacred. And if done incorrectly, it breaks our ancient law." Suddenly, Ethan felt his stomach twist. No one explained that. They just said, "Help one of our women." I thought I was donating genetic material, not, doing it. Valari looked alarmed. "You didn't read the laws?" "I was starving, half dead and barely breathing. Of course I didn't read the contract." Silence fell between them. A soft hum came from the glowing lights around them. Valari took a breath. "Then we must follow the law exactly. If we make a mistake, it won't just shame me. It will trigger punishment for both of us." "Punishment?" Ethan asked. "What kind?" She didn't answer. Later that night, a small meal was delivered. They ate in silence. Valari studied Ethan's face. He seemed kind, not aggressive like she feared. Still, he was a human, and humans were known to be unpredictable. "You do not know what you agreed to," she finally said. Ethan chuckled. "That's becoming very clear." "We are watched," she whispered. "Even now. The right is sacred. The act must be complete. If there is hesitation, if you exit early, it is considered a violation." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Exit early?" Valari's cheeks glowed deeper. "If you pull out before completion." He blinked. "Wait, that's actually illegal. Here?" Valari nodded seriously. "Yes, it means rejection of union. It's a crime." Ethan laughed awkwardly. "Okay, wow, I really should have read that contract." Valari didn't laugh. She looked genuinely afraid. That night, the ceremony chamber lit up. They were given robes. Strange incense floated in the air. Two silent watchers stood outside the crystal doors. Valari stood close to Ethan. Her hand trembled as she touched his. "You must not make a mistake," she said, "even if your instinct tells you to stop. You must continue until it is complete." Ethan swallowed hard. "Okay. This is the weirdest thing I've ever been a part of. Do not dishonor me," she said softly. He looked into her eyes. She wasn't just scared of punishment, she was scared of being abandoned. Ethan nodded. I won't. And as the door sealed behind them and the ancient lights began to shine, he realized one thing. He had just stepped into something much deeper than survival. He had stepped into an alien culture, with rules, laws, and expectations no human could understand. And the worst part? He had no idea what was coming next. Ethan Cole lay in the strange, velvet-soft bed, catching his breath. The lights had dimmed. The crystal ceiling now showed stars above. Everything in the chamber was silent. Too silent. He looked at Valari beside him. She wasn't resting. She was sitting upright, wide-eyed, trembling. Valari? He asked softly. You okay? She didn't answer. Instead, she stood up, stepped away from the bed, and stared at a glowing orb on the wall. Her hands were shaking. She whispered something in her own language. Ethan slowly sat up. What's wrong? She turned to him. Her silver hair clung to her face and her voice came out in a hoarse whisper. You pulled out. What? Ethan blinked. I thought we were done. You pulled out before the rite was complete, she said, eyes full of panic. It is a sacred violation. You cannot pull out, human. Not here. Ethan's heart skipped. Wait, are you serious? Suddenly, loud chimes echoed through the chamber, warning tones. Red light. Valari covered her mouth in fear. They were watching. Oh no. Oh stars no. Before Ethan could say anything, the doors slid open. 4 armored guards entered, tall, glowing-eyed beings with ceremonial armor and long staffs that hummed with energy. Ethan Cole of Terra, one guard, announced, You are under arrest for dishonor of sacred reproduction rite. Ethan stood quickly. Wait, what? This has to be a mistake. I didn't know. You signed the contract, the guard said flatly. Ignorance is not innocence. Valari stepped forward, her voice shaking. Please, he didn't. Understand, he was confused. Let me take the punishment. The guards ignored her. 2 of them grabbed Ethan's arms. Valari, he shouted, twisting. What's going to happen? They will take you to the tribunal, she cried. They will test your truth. If they think you broke the rite on purpose, and they will remove your rights as a living being. Remove my what? The doors slammed shut. Ethan was shoved into a floating cell. Glass walls, no furniture, no privacy. He sat on the floor, trying to calm his mind. What kind of crazy planet is this? Outside the cell, glowing robed figures walked past. Elders of the Valari High Nest. They murmured in an alien tongue, occasionally glancing in his direction. Then she appeared. Valari. She wasn't alone. 2 guards followed her, but she was allowed to step close to the glass. Ethan, she whispered. I beg to see you. He stood. You need to get me out of here. I can't. Not yet. The tribunal is ancient law. No one can stop it, once it begins. But it was a mistake. I didn't know pulling out was illegal here. Valari pressed her hand to the glass. Then you must prove it. When they test your intentions, you must be pure. You must speak from the heart. Ethan frowned. I don't even know what I'm supposed to say. Valari looked down. There is one way to end it before punishment. What? She looked up again, her cheeks bright. You must complete the rite again. This time, under witness. Ethan stared at her. You're telling me the only way to fix this is to do it again? With people watching? Valari nodded. That's insane. It's our law. Later that night, Ethan sat alone. The cell hummed gently. A strange fruit had been given for dinner. He didn't touch it. His mind raced. He had no idea how things had gone this wrong. One small decision, pulling out, and now his life was on trial. But it wasn't just about him anymore. Valari had begged for him. She had tried to defend him. She could have let him suffer. But she didn't. And in that moment, he realized something. He had come to this world to survive. but Valari had risked everything to protect someone she barely knew. The next morning, 2 robed guards entered the chamber. "You will be prepared for the tribunal ceremony of rebinding," one said. Ethan didn't resist. "Let's get this over with." As he followed them through the glowing halls, whispers filled the air. "Is that the human? He broke the rite. Will she still protect him?" Finally, the doors opened, and in the center of a massive chamber surrounded by watchers, elders, and glowing lights, stood Valari in ceremonial silk, head bowed. She looked up. Their eyes met. And silently, without words, she nodded. It's not over yet. The great hall of the tribunal was not made of stone or metal. It was made of light. Soft beams floated across the dome like ribbons of energy. The floor pulsed with color under every step. Strange symbols hung in the air like smoke, moving in, patterns Ethan didn't understand. But one thing was clear. This wasn't just a trial. It was a ritual. Ethan stood at the center, bare-chested, dressed in ceremonial cloth tied around his waist. His wrists weren't bound, but the silence around him felt like 1,000 invisible chains. Across from him stood Valari, wrapped in silver silk and blue gems. She avoided his eyes. Her fingers were clenched. The crowd sat in silence. Dozens of alien elders in floating seats, their eyes glowing with judgment. A deep voice echoed from above. "Ethan Cole of Terra, you are charged with rite incompletion through premature separation. Do you understand what that means?" Ethan cleared his throat. "It means I pulled out too soon." Whispers ran through the crowd like wind. An elder banged a staff. "Speak with respect, this rite is sacred." Ethan sighed. "Sorry, I didn't know it was against the law." Another elder floated closer. She had soft eyes but a sharp voice. "You signed the bonding contract. Are you saying you lied when you agreed?" "No," Ethan said. "I didn't lie. I just didn't understand what I was agreeing to." No one explained. The room went silent. Then, the lead elder raised a crystal. "Then let the test of intention begin." Ethan felt a sudden warm light touch his chest. He looked down. A golden symbol appeared glowing over his heart. It shimmered like fire. Valari gasped softly. The lead elder spoke again. "This light reads your truth. If your heart is impure, it will turn black. If your intentions were selfish, it will flicker red. If your bond with the one you shared the rite with was false, it will disappear." Ethan held his breath. The light pulsed. For a moment it flickered red, then yellow, then white. Valari let out a small cry. The entire chamber stared. The elder leaned forward. "Your heart is confused but not corrupt. You did not mean to break the rite." Another whispered, "Then why did he pull away? That act alone is forbidden." Ethan raised his voice. "Because I didn't think this was more than a ritual. I thought I was just helping your people survive. I didn't know that pulling away would hurt her, or dishonor your laws. But if I had known, if someone had just explained, I wouldn't have done it." His voice echoed. Valari's head turned. She looked at him, eyes full of something between pain and hope. The room remained silent. Then the elder spoke once more. "Then, you are given a choice." Ethan blinked. "A choice? If your bond was made in ignorance, it may still be repaired, but only through rebinding." Valari stepped forward. Her voice was barely above a whisper. He must complete the rite again, in public, before all. Gasps echoed across the chamber. Ethan stepped back. "You want me to do it again? In front of them?" Valari's cheeks turned blue in embarrassment. "It is not about pleasure. It is about honor. The rite must be complete, witnessed, and sealed by the elders. Only then will they believe you did not reject me." Ethan looked around. All eyes were on him, judging, waiting. He turned to Valari. "And what if I say no?" Her face fell. "Then you will be cast out. Not just from this world, but from memory." You will become a stranger to all species under Valari law. Your name will be erased from every system. You will vanish. Ethan looked at her carefully. She wasn't just saying that for the law. She looked sad, as if she didn't want him to go. He took a slow breath. I didn't mean to hurt you, he said. Valari swallowed. I know. I didn't know this meant so much. It does. He nodded slowly. Then let's finish what we started. New chamber opened, a wide circle of glowing blue light. The elders took their places. Symbols lit up under Valari's bare feet. Ethan stood beside her. The elder raised her staff. Begin the rebinding. Soft music started from unseen sources. Mist covered the ground. Ethan stepped forward. Valari met him halfway, and before anyone else moved, before a single witness could even speak, he took her hand in front of the entire tribunal. I'm not just doing this for survival anymore, Ethan said. Valari's eyes widened. I'm doing it because I want to be your partner, no matter how strange this place is, no matter the laws. If this is what it takes to stay by your side. He gently touched her face. Then I'll do it right this time. The chamber of rebinding was unlike anything Ethan had seen before. The floor was made of polished glass with glowing rivers of light flowing beneath. Above them, a sky dome showed moving stars, real-time projections from deep space. But it wasn't the beauty of the room that made Ethan nervous. It was the crowd. Hundreds of aliens had come to witness this event. Elders, nobles, priests, and citizens. They all sat silently, their eyes focused on him. And Valari. She stood in the center of the circle, dressed in a soft white robe with long sleeves that trailed the ground. Her silver hair was tied back with sacred golden threads. She looked beautiful, yet strangely distant. Ethan adjusted his ceremonial sash, trying not to trip on the glowing path. He whispered to himself, Okay, Ethan, just walk forward, hold her hand, follow the right, don't screw this up. But when he stepped onto the circle, something changed. A loud chime echoed. The lights dimmed. A voice spoke from above. Let the human prove his bond. Let the alien receive his vow. The rebinding shall begin. Valari turned to him. This time she didn't look afraid. She looked sad. Ethan took a slow breath and stepped forward. The elder priestess raised a thin metal staff. You must speak, not with your mind, but with your heart. Ethan looked confused. Is this part of the ritual? Valari nodded. Yes, before. Anything physical, your soul must bond. If your words are false, the circle will reject us. Ethan stared at the glowing runes around them. Reject us like explode? No, she whispered. Like erase us. He gulped, no pressure. He turned to the crowd. They were silent. Still. And then he looked back at Valari. I didn't understand your world, Ethan said slowly. I came here thinking I was just saving myself. I didn't think about you, or what this meant to your people. Valari blinked. Her face remained calm, but something flickered in her eyes. But when I broke the right and saw your fear, it hit me, he continued. This wasn't just some ancient rule, this was about trust, and I broke it. He took a step closer. I can't erase what happened, but I can promise this. I won't run again. Not from you, not from your people. If this bond still means something to you, and I'll make it real. Valari's eyes shimmered. She stepped forward too. I feared this right, she said softly. I feared you, a human, unknown, unpredictable. But you stayed. She touched, her forehead to his. You listened. You chose me, not just because of law, but from something deeper. The crowd stirred. The lights above flared gold. A deep hum filled the chamber. The floor beneath them glowed white. The elder priestess smiled faintly. The vow has passed. Now came the second part. The physical part. But not what Ethan expected. 2 floating rings appeared, one for each of them. As they stepped in, Light wrapped around their arms like silk ribbons. "Place your hands over her heart," said the priestess. Ethan hesitated, then did it. Her skin was warm. "Valari, place your hands over his." She followed. Then, silence. The room darkened again. The rings started spinning slowly. Sparks danced between their fingers. A voice echoed, "Will you complete the rite without fear, without hesitation, with full unity of body and will?" "I will," Valari whispered. Ethan didn't hesitate this time. "I will." Light burst from the floor, rising up like a pillar around them. The crowd gasped. The elder's voice grew stronger. "Then by the witness of our people, the rite is fulfilled." Suddenly the glow changed. A deep blue fire wrapped around them both. The elder gasped. This is rare." Ethan looked around, panicking. "Is that bad?" Valari whispered in awe. "No. It means destiny." Only once every few thousand cycles did a bond glow blue during the rebinding. It meant their souls had matched, beyond law, beyond tradition. It meant something far greater had begun. When the light faded, they stood alone again. But something had changed. Valari no longer looked distant. She looked connected. Her hands stayed in his. Her voice was soft. "You didn't run. I told you I wouldn't." The priestess stepped forward. "You may leave the circle. Your union is recorded. Your trial is ended." Ethan blinked. "That's it?" The priestess smiled gently. "No, human. That is just the beginning." As they walked out of the chamber, side by side, Ethan didn't feel like a visitor anymore. He felt like he had stepped into something far deeper. Not just a culture, not just a law, but something strange, ancient, and maybe even sacred. No one spoke when Ethan and Valari stepped out of the rebinding chamber. The path ahead was lined with glowing stones. The elders remained seated. The crowd was silent, but not with judgment. This time, they were frozen with awe. The blue flames had changed everything. Valari looked dazed. Her body swayed slightly as if the energy from the ritual still clung to her skin. Ethan moved closer to steady her, placing his hand on her back. Her breathing slowed. A quiet murmur spread through the audience. The floating elders leaned forward, their glowing eyes locked on the two. "It cannot be. Blue fire has not happened in over 7,000 cycles." Elder Jern, the head of the tribunal, slowly rose from her seat and floated down to meet them. She held a long crystal rod in one hand and used the other to motion for the crowd to quiet. "Valari of House Vethen," she said, voice echoing. "You were born outside the sacred lines, a child of exile. You were never meant to bond through the fire." Valari lowered her head. "Yes, Elder." Ethan frowned. "What does that mean?" Jern turned to him. "It means she was cast aside as an unworthy heir. Her bloodline was considered dormant. She was not allowed to pass on her genes." Ethan looked at Valari. "They said you were impure?" Valari's voice was a whisper. "Not because of what I did, but because of what I was born into." "But you bonded with me," Ethan said, "and the fire turned blue. Doesn't that mean something?" Jern studied him. "That is what we do not understand." Another elder floated closer, holding a shimmering device. He scanned Ethan's body. When the reading appeared, the elder stumbled back. "This is impossible." Jern read the data. Her hands trembled. "His genetics," she said slowly, "have awakened the ancient core in her bloodline." Gasps echoed across the chamber. "She is no longer impure," Jern continued. "She is now royal." Ethan's mouth opened. I didn't mean to do that. I was just trying to do the right thing. I didn't know I was activating ancient alien DNA." Valari looked at him with wide eyes. "You gave me back my future, but I didn't even know you'd lost it." The tribunal began to panic. Some elders whispered angrily. Others began scanning Ethan again and again. The crowd split, some backing away, others moving closer, reaching out in curiosity. Jern raised her hand. Silence. She looked at Ethan, then Valari. This bond cannot be ignored. The flames do not lie, but it must be confirmed in the sacred chamber of origin. Valari flinched. That place is sealed. It hasn't been opened in millennia. Jern nodded. And yet it glows for them. You two must enter it. Only then will we know if this is fate, or a cosmic mistake. Later that night, Ethan and Valari stood outside a forgotten temple. It was built into the side of a glowing mountain. Strange carvings lit up as they approached. This place gives me chills, Ethan whispered. Valari nodded. This is where our race was born. The chamber holds the original fire. If we stand within it, and the blue flame returns, then your bond is not just legal, it's legendary. Great, Ethan muttered. No pressure again. Valari touched his hand. Believe in you. Ethan looked into her glowing silver eyes. I believe in us. They entered the chamber. It was dark, cold. The walls were covered in symbols Ethan couldn't read, but they moved as if alive. Valari took his hand and stepped onto a circle at the center of the room. Now, she whispered, we wait. Nothing happened. For one breath, then another. Then, a sudden burst of blue fire rose from the floor, wrapping around them like a cocoon. The walls lit up with ancient golden symbols. Valari gasped. Ethan stood frozen. Then, the flames shifted color. Blue and white, a combination never recorded in any known rite. Far away, in the High Council Tower, alarms began to ring. The lights flashed. A voice spoke from a hidden archive. The lost bond has returned. Back in the chamber, Valari dropped to her knees, overwhelmed. Ethan caught her before she fell. She looked up at him, tears in her eyes. They will never deny us again. He smiled, holding her close. I wasn't planning to leave anyway. Valari sat in silence beside the still-burning blue flame. Her head rested lightly on Ethan's shoulder, but her eyes stared at the ancient walls. The golden symbols danced slowly around them, revealing stories she had heard only as a child, tales of heroes, of royal blood, of forbidden bonds. And yet, here she was, with him, and the fire had chosen them. But Ethan still didn't know the truth, not all of it. Ethan, she whispered, voice soft as air. He turned his head toward her. Yeah? There's something I never told you. Ethan gave a half smile. I figured. This whole alien law marriage situation feels like it comes with secrets. Valari didn't laugh. She pulled away gently, standing as the blue light flickered across her face. I wasn't just born outside the sacred line, she said, voice hollow. I was hidden. Ethan stood too. What do you mean? My mother was part of the high nest. She was strong, proud, but she broke the law. She fell in love with an outsider. Ethan blinked. Another species? Valari nodded. Not human, but not from our race either. The elders called me unblessed. They erased my name from the blood scrolls. My mother was forced to swear I would never claim a title. I was raised in the shadows, trained to serve the council that rejected me. Ethan stared. Wait, you were born royal and they just buried it? They feared impurity, she said. But now, after the flame chose us, they're afraid for another reason. What reason? She turned slowly, looking him in the eyes. Because the flame didn't just accept me, it made me stronger. It awakened something they thought was gone forever. They left the chamber just before dawn. The stars above had shifted. 2 moons crossed paths. An event Valari whispered was called the Eye of the Sky, a rare omen. As they walked through the mountain pass, guards waited at the base, not to arrest them, but to escort them. Back at the capital, the High Council was already preparing a response. The news had spread faster than fire. The exiled one had been reborn through the human bond. Inside a quiet room of polished crystal, Ethan sat while a medbot scanned his arm again. "Seriously," he muttered. "How many times do they need? To scan me? It's still me. Human. 1 heart, 2 lungs, full set of awkward emotions." Valari smiled from across the room. "You're more than that now. Your DNA has interacted with mine in a way they never predicted." "You mean I'm special?" "I mean," she said gently, walking closer, "you're dangerous to their control." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "How?" "Because you made the flame choose me. And that flame was only ever meant for the Council's bloodlines." Suddenly a soft chime rang at the door. An old woman entered. She walked slowly, leaning on a staff. Her robes shimmered with deep blue. Valari froze. "Hi, Matron Tali," she whispered. Ethan looked between them. The air had grown heavy. "I knew your mother," Tali said slowly. Her voice was tired but warm. "She came to me in secret, asking if she should end her child's life." Valari's eyes widened in horror. "She feared what you would suffer," the old woman continued, "but I told her to let you live. That one day perhaps a flame would choose differently." She turned to Ethan. "I didn't expect it to be a human, but you have awakened something no one expected." Ethan stood. "Are you here to stop us?" Tali shook her head. "I'm here to warn you." She stepped closer and looked into Valari's eyes. "The Council will not accept your bond easily. Some will whisper of rebellion, others will speak of exile again. But there are some who will speak of war." Valari's voice shook. "I never asked for a throne. But it calls to you now," Tali said, "and so do your people." She handed Valari a small glowing crystal. "Take this. Go to the Hall of Voices. Let the people see who you truly are. Let them see you with him. If the flame accepts you, maybe the people will too." That night, Valari sat alone in the quiet garden of the Sky Temple. Ethan found her, there sitting under a tree that glowed with soft blue leaves. He sat beside her. "They told me everything," he said quietly, "about your past, about the danger we're in." Valari looked down. "I should have told you sooner." Ethan reached out and held her hand. "You didn't need to. I see it in you. You're strong. You've survived so much." She looked into his eyes. "Will you stay? Even if they come after us?" He didn't hesitate. "I stayed when they put me on trial. I stayed when the law tried to erase me. And I'll stay now, as long as you want me." She didn't answer with words. She leaned forward and kissed him, and for the first time, it wasn't part of any ritual. It was real. The Hall of Voices had not been used in centuries. It was carved into the side of the mountain, its roof open to the sky, its floor made of glass and light. No court ruled here, no elder gave orders. This place was for the people, to speak, to listen, and to decide. And now, they had come by the thousands. Whispers of a reborn exile, bonded by flame to a human, had spread through every city and moon. Drones floated above. Merchants stopped trading. Even the Council couldn't silence the crowd anymore. They wanted truth. They wanted her. Valari stood at the center of the open circle, wind brushing her silver hair across her face. Her white robes shimmered, the royal crest now glowing on her chest, restored by the fire. Beside her, Ethan stood tall, simple in his plain clothes but bold in his stance. No armor, no weapon, just presence. The crowd watched in total silence. Then Valari stepped forward. "My name was erased," she began. "My birth was hidden. My mother died with shame in her heart, because she dared to love outside her bloodline." She paused. "But I lived, and through the rite something ancient awakened, not just in me, but in us." She turned to Ethan, then back to the crowd. "I was told a human could never bond with our kind. I was told he was too wild, too emotional, too different. She raised her voice. But when your laws turned against me, he stayed. When your council called me impure, he defended me. And when I stood before the fire, he didn't run. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some looked down in shame. Others whispered to each other. Then Ethan stepped forward. He raised one hand awkwardly like he was speaking in front of a class. Hi. I'm Ethan. Soft laughter came from the back. I didn't come here to change anyone's laws, he said honestly. I just wanted to survive. I was starving. Lost. But then I met her. He looked at Valari with a small smile. I didn't understand her customs. I made a mistake, one I didn't know was serious. And instead of punishing me, she protected me. He paused, looking at the crowd. I learned something from your people. About bonding, about respect, about standing beside someone even when it's hard. He stepped back beside Valari. I don't want power. I don't want a throne. I just
want a life with her. The wind picked up. Then from the top balcony a deep voice shouted, Do you believe this human has earned a place among us? Silence. Then a voice shouted back, He completed the rite. Another voice. He passed.
The flame, then dozens more. He didn't leave her. He changed the fire. He stayed.
A loud rising chant began from the lower tier. Let them stand. Let them lead. Valari's eyes filled with tears. Ethan squeezed her hand. She whispered, I never dreamed they would speak for me. He grinned. You gave them a reason. Later, that day back in the crystal hall of the council, Elder Jern watched the crowds from her high window. Another elder entered. It's done, she said. They've accepted the bond. Publicly. Jern said nothing for a moment. Then she closed her eyes and whispered, Then the law must change. What shall it be called? Jern opened a book and carefully wrote one line. The human exception. Then she crossed it out and wrote, The Flame Bond Accord. Weeks passed. Ethan and Valari didn't return to the palace. They built a small home near the mountains overlooking the river. They tended gardens. They greeted travelers. And every few days another young couple, alien and human, came asking questions, looking for guidance. The rite was no longer feared. It was hope. One evening, as the stars blinked awake and the winds blew soft across the cliffs, Ethan sat on a stone bench beside Valari. She rested her head on his shoulder. Did you ever imagine you'd become part of alien history? She asked playfully. He chuckled. Nope. I just wanted to eat dinner without nearly getting arrested. She laughed softly. You changed more than a law, she whispered. You changed me. He wrapped an arm around her. I didn't do it for the fire, or the crowd, or the throne. I did it because I couldn't walk away from you. And in that quiet moment, surrounded by stars, two souls, once strangers, once ruled by fear, sat in peace. No more judgment, no more laws, only love.